Okay, so this YouTube video, it's about a way of utilizing information you might receive from surveys, whether you use Google Forms or some kind of site like Qualtrics. Many times when you receive the responses back in Excel form, you're going to have what you call you're going to have a header, and then the data that corresponds with it. So you have overall satisfaction rating, and you'll have people's ratings in each row for this column. And so what we're trying to do is basically build a model where you can create different charts that you like and utilize the match and index function to gather data over a specific time frame. So we're going to be using date of service as our time frame. So as we go through, there's certain things we need to do first with the information to clean it up. First thing we need to do is for row 1, we want to highlight all of this information. You can do so by pressing Control, Shift, and press the right key to get all of that. You'll probably have to name it header, but because I've already done that for another area, I'll just leave it blank for now. Other things you might want to add is for the actual data itself, you can highlight all of it with Control A. If you press Control A, you'll highlight all the information within it. And what you can do with that is if you press Control Shift 3, is you'll be able to basically name each range. While that's important to name each range, it's also important to press Control T to change it into a table. Table is important because as you add more information to it, it'll automatically become part of that. Well, I messed up there, but it'll automatically become part of your data set. And so this is a practice I've already done so for this page, but other things that are important is formatting. Just to help you to keep everything together, you should probably name the page data tab or data page or something. And so once this is fully set, you might want to name your actual data. You might want to name it table 1 or whatever you'd like to name it. I've done this a few times, so it might have multiple names. So once that's over with, you kind of have your database set up. So what do we do with it? So on the next page is just an example of something you can do. What I've done here is I basically went on and separated a few things. I'll explain it. So this section here in A, these are nothing more than text, and that I've merged into two. They're all in the same column, but they're each 2 rows. And so when I'm looking at my data, I'm going to be making a control chart, something like that, or like this. And so with this control chart, I'm going to have 6 periods in total. So just for organization, I have my 6 periods. Each of them, they have a start date and an end date, and that will become a little bit more important. But things that we should be able to do, which are also very important for duplicating this, is making sure what we're measuring is dynamic, or that it can change. And so with this, what I've done here is I've done some data validation to put a drop-down list. And so if you go to data, click data validation, in your settings, it'll usually be any value. But what we're going to do here is put list, and the source of the list is going to be your header that we had from before. And so in that sense, you can measure, you can measure any part of your table as long as it has a header. And so now that we have this, we need to figure out first what information do we want. The information that we're going to be looking for is we want to see how our progress is done in overall satisfaction over 6 time periods. With these 6 time periods, there's different information we might want. So we're going to look at this on the interval. And so I might want to see information over 9 days, 10 days, 20 days, 30 days, etc. And so for now, we just just type in interval, and then you can type in any number you have here. We're actually going to update this a little bit later. So right now I have an interval of 6. Yeah? Okay. So what this interval does, it is each of these I have put data validation in, but I'm actually not using the data validation. I'm actually using a formula which we'll discuss now. So with this formula, I just want to have an interval. So 17 plus 6 is 23. That's my interval. 23 minus 17 minus 6 is 17. 17 minus 6 is 11, and so forth. And so each time period is going to be a difference of 6 days going back. And so in that way, once any of these change, like if I change September 23rd to October 16th, what we're going to see is now it's going to be looking at this date. Yeah, so it's just a way of keeping the intervals together. Let's see. So we have our end date fixed. In my data set, the last point is November 1st, so I've decided to use that. And so this start date is very important because it basically shows what your data is going to look like. If you want to look at it over a week, a few days, or a month, etc., you need to set up your start date correctly. And so right now my interval is a little bit off because it's between September 23rd and November 1st, which is over a month, but the intervals are like this. And so perhaps I'm looking at this information, I just want to see how did these previous 5 periods compare to the last month. That's something I might want to look at or not. It's really up to you to decide. So as you can see, each of these, we're just subtracting the interval. For the end dates, we're adding the interval back to the start date and subtracting 1. This is just for consistency for when we make the chart, so dates don't overlap. Instead of saying the 24th to the 30th, we have it to the 29th, and then we start on the 30th to the 4th, etc. Okay. Just for formatting issues, for home, I've decided to make this custom. To make something custom, you just go to your formats, custom, and then type. If you type in 4 M's, you get the full month, and if you type in 1D, you get the day in the month. If you type in more than 1D, you can get the day of the month, like a Tuesday or Monday, and you can get that short or long form. It's honestly up to you. I just did that because that's how I like it to look. And then for the graph I'm going to make, I want to get actual time frames that will say it back to me within the graph. So I want to know when a certain time frame is. And so if I switch that to 8, I want all of these to update, and so they do. So how we do this is we use a text function, and we're just going to reference the dates that we want. So we get a text version of this, and we use an ampersand to join it with the end date, and I've just put a little text in here for 2 to make it look good. And this is just repeated for each area. for each time period. And so it makes it very easy, and it's a model that updates with everything. And so here comes the hard part, the averages. So somehow from our data set, we need to tell Excel where to get the information from and how to find the average for it. To do that, we're going to use this formula. We're basically going to use index and match. And so, oops, I've already taken the index and max function out. I'm going to explain how it works. You're basically putting in two index formulas. And so your first index formula is going to find the beginning, where to start, and your second index formula is going to find where to end. And so index, your data numbers, this is your array. So if you didn't name that range before, it would just be table 1, where all your data is located. And then you need to tell the index formula which row to go to. And so here in cell B2 it says August 14th. And so in our data table, Excel is going to look for August 14th, 2014, because even though this is customized to not show the date is still within this information. The importance of naming our ranges, so date of service, if we look back, it's saying look for August 14th in date of service. So we go back, go Control Shift down, and we know this is date of service here. So where in this can we find that date? And so it tells you that's where you're looking to find the date. And once you find it the exact match. Nothing lower, nothing higher, just find that number. And then for the match for the header, this is what helps you to easily reproduce this. By having this as a dynamic range, if I wanted to look at the transportation rating, I would just switch to transportation rating and everything else would update. And I get a different average for that. Okay, and so that's why it's important to name your ranges. Makes things a lot easier. Your second index formula is going to be almost the exact same thing. You're just going to be looking to match on the ending date. Okay, the important parts now are the following. This colon. This colon, what it does is, instead of just giving you the first August 14th, wherever that is, and instead of just giving you August 21st, wherever that is, by adding the semicolon, it gives you all of the values in between those 2 points. And so if you take out average and try to put in that formula, it wouldn't work. This actually needs another function to tell you to do something with it, because otherwise it's just a bunch of numbers in a cell. So what this does is it finds all of that, and then I can make that average, I can make that sum, I can make it a bunch of different things. And that's how this will work. So to test it, you want to press Alt T U F. What this does, it allows you to check your information. So we know the first is August 14th, and the last is going to be August 21st. If you evaluate it all the way through, it's going to tell you where it's going to start and where it's going to end. Okay, and it's almost there. Okay, so this is telling me it's going to start in 3364 and end in 3490. Okay, so let's look for 3490 first.